Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome to Mallet and Michelle. I'm Michelle Lewis, and sitting across from me, well, this is Steve Mallet, who's basically living under martial law until October 31st. No sweets, no bacon, no white bread, but he did tell me that tortillas don't count, and limited TV, and get this, everybody. No French fries. Basically, he's on the world's saddest diet, is what he's on.
Self-imposed, too.
It's pretty sad.
We had Denver Fredenberg on a couple months ago, and he's doing a challenge right now, which Holly and I couldn't do for a number of reasons. We made our own challenge, so we're cutting out all those things and all the way until October 31st, and we're going to read more and not do as much TV. No TV dinners. We're going to spend more time together.
No TV dinners? No TV dinners. Swanson TV dinners, or no sitting in front of the TV?
No sitting in front of the TV and eating dinner.
I told Steve, I said, I'm going to need to be conferenced in the next time you and Holly have a conversation like this, because I spend a lot of my waking hours with Steve Mallet, and this affects me in my life.
You can't have French fries because my self-control is very limited when I'm hangry. So if you have French fries, I might cave, and then it's all your fault, Michelle.
This sounds like a prison. This is a prison.
Hey, our guest today, Kristen Currie from KXAN. She's a meteorologist.
Say that again?
Meteorologist.
I'm a meteorologist.
She's coming in today to talk to us about her job and the weather, which I think is very timely with everything going on right now.
Absolutely.
With the floods and all the storms and everything. And by the way, we went to Lake Travis. We went to Lakeway City Park on Sunday. Gracie, Holly, and I went, and we went paddleboarding, and the lake is more full than I ever remember seeing it.
That is amazingly good. There was a lot of tragedy that has come out of these floods.
It's true.
The fact that our lakes are also now filled, that is amazing, and we're still underwater conservation.
Really?
Yeah. Aren't you?
I don't know.
You do what you want.
If you're from the Dripping Springs Water Corporation, don't pay attention to that.
Steve Mallet does what he wants.
It's like, basically, if I get an email from them about water conservation, I read it, and it goes blah, 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 blah.
You know what? Our water, we're only allowed to water Wednesdays. Okay, and so Todd has decided that he's going to start, he waters in the morning and in the evening. What time
is he hand watering?
No, you can turn the sprinkler system on. So what time is that? When Michelle Lewis is taking a shower. Have you seen my hair? So it's like...
Does it take the cold water away or the hot water away? Or just makes everything not as much? Oh,
it spits out. So,
well, I do pay attention to water conservation.
Oh, now you're backtracking.
Yeah, I've got backtracking. But yes, I'm not a water waster. Actually, my water bills are very low.
I love my bath, and I will sit there in my bathtub for literally 2 hours.
Really? Well, that's not water wasting because you fill it up. And then use it for 2 hours?
And then it gets cold, and then I empty it, and I fill it back up.
You know what you could do? You could do what Sydney Sweeney did and take some of your bath water and put it in a soap bar. Did you hear about that?
I want to know how much money she's making, because anybody wants to buy Michelle's bath water, I'm up for selling it for a little profit so I can go on more vacations.
Apparently, they called it the essence of her bath water, which I don't know what that means. Essence of Michelle. Hey, I want to talk more about the Sydney Sweeney thing, because I think that's really interesting.
But we need to thank our sponsors.
And unintended consequences have always amazed me, and there was a lot with the Sydney Sweeney thing. So yes, we have to thank our sponsors.
Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
Because sometimes unwinding requires a chair, a chilled cocktail, and no questions asked.
Jovi Belterra.
Because you've earned your fun time and the friends to spend it with.
South Star Bank.
Where first-time buyers and seasoned pros all get VIP treatment, minus the velvet rope.
I sound like one of those automated and Mallet Integrity Team.
You do, yeah. AI generated. Say it again.
With an attitude. Mallet Integrity Team.
We don't cut corners, but we will cut your grass if it makes the sale.
You know what? That's a true story.
That is a true story.
We had a house and we had pictures the next day. And I called Todd and I think it was Logan. And I said, I need y'all to cut the grass.
We could write a book about the number of things that are not considered realtor jobs that we have done to get the sale closed. And I mean, some of them are gross. Some of them involve dirty underwear and toilets. I
just tell you that if you go to an open house and you have to use the toilet,
public service announcement from
please
Michelle.
Flush the toilet. Flush the toilet, people. What is up with that? Okay, so I'm wearing blue jeans today. You know why? Because my
wearing
jeans
blue
are
jeans
blue.
too, and my jeans are really good. I have good jeans.
I'm wearing overall jeans.
Yes, you are, and they're good jeans. So you have to have been living under a rock if you don't know what's going on with Sydney Sweeney. But she came out. American Eagle did an ad, I guess about a week and a half ago now that was launched, and some of the woke left. You're making a weird face.
I just heard a crash.
Some of the woke left came out and said that her saying she has good genes is racist and makes her a Nazi.
Oh, well.
And a fascist. Yes.
How is it? I don't get the manufactured outrage about
actually,
everything.
I disagree. I don't think this is manufactured. I think these people really believe this stupid crap.
Well, you know what? I hear that American Eagle, you can't even get those jeans right now because they're sold out.
So here's something, unintended consequences, right? You know what happened with Budweiser and that whole thing that backfired on them. Well, this whole thing where the woke left has come out and spoken up against Sydney Sweeney has made American Eagle stock go up by $416 million. Their value of their stock has gone up $416 million.
That's crazy.
So, and you're right, you can't get the jeans. And you know, I was thinking about how much would they have to spend to get, I don't know what they paid her for that ad. I can't be more, maybe they paid her $1 million, but they got 400 times the value of what they paid her for this ad because these people became idiots and made all of us go watch the ad so that we could say, what the freaking hell are you talking about?
What the freaking hell?
There's nothing wrong with that ad. It's ads like that have been run for years, just like that.
I know. Well, I think Beyonce did one too, just exactly like that, where she was wearing all jeans, and I don't know. It's just double standard.
Well,
but you know what? I never wear jeans hardly ever on the podcast, and you're not a big jeans guy.
I wear them. I wear them occasionally.
You wear jeans on the top.
I do. I'm a jean top guy. So there was a couple of things about this I wanted to comment. Some Democrats have actually come out and said, you people are losing your mind. Ben Dreyfuss, who writes for Mother Jones, which is a left-wing magazine, he's a professed Democrat, said, people mad about this ad have cats in their brains, and those cats have rabies and need to be put down.
You have cats in your brain.
But yeah, you know, I heard somebody on a different podcast recently, and he said it's like the country has basically three parties now. We've got conservatives, we've got liberal progressives, and then we have the woke left. And the liberal progressives are the people that we're friends with.
No, you still have the crazy right wing.
Well, yes.
Jobs.
Okay, so yes, you're right. We have the crazy.
Yeah, the extremists on either side.
The liberal progressive that, believe in the government supporting people a little more maybe than you and I would think. And, there's common ground. They're good people and they just have a slightly different belief about the role of government. But we can all get along with that. These woke left, you basically cannot be friends with them. They are just they're wacko and they're looking for everything in the world to be mad about.
You know what my favorite new cut down is? My girlfriend and I were laughing about this last night. You're a mayonnaise sandwich if you think that this is crazy.
A mayonnaise?
You're like...
Mayonnaise sandwich?
You're a mayonnaise sandwich. It's just, you're boring.
Boring.
You're just boring. You're a mayonnaise sandwich.
Well, I started off at the beginning of the show talking about Sydney Sweeney and her selling her with a splash, I guess, of bath water. It's sold on Dr. Squatch. They had 5,000 bars. It sold out in like a minute.
Okay.
Dr. Squatch.
I'm going to look and see how much.
But one of my friends one of my friends who I would say is very conservative, very Christian guy, said he feels a little funny coming out in defense of Sydney Sweeney because all of her roles in movies have been very sexualized. And she sells soap with her bathwater in it, which is kind of weird. So, I mean, people are all over the map on this.
Okay.
And you can complain about these kind of things, but at the end of the day, is the world really any worse off because Sydney Sweeney and American Eagle did this ad? No, absolutely not.
You actually get actual a certificate when you order it.
I read an article yesterday that her soap, I don't know if people are buying it, but it's for sale on eBay for $16,000.
It says it has essence of pine, Douglas fir, earthy moss, and a touch of Sydney's very own bathwater. What would your bathwater consist of? What would your bathwater have, Steve?
Steve's soap has a touch of foot fungus, a touch
Oh my God. No, you know what mine has? I always put Epsom salts in my bathwater.
Yeah,
so
like
mine would have all.
Well, first of all, if you got bathwater from me, it's not my bathwater because I don't take baths.
You don't take baths? You're
I'm
disgusting.
a shower. I'm a shower snob.
I can't even see how much it is. I can't even see how much, like if you wanted to buy it, how much it would be to buy.
It was only like $8 when it came out.
Well,
on the Dr. Squatch website.
Oh, okay. Sydney's now it's $10.18 on
people are
eBay.
recent. But I saw an article that said somebody. Of course, who knows? People won't buy that. Sydney's bathwater bliss. There she is.
There you go. I'm Michelle's bathwater bliss. Now on sale for $5.99.
It's funny though. It's almost like, did we not have enough news going on that day that we had to make a big deal out of American Eagle selling jeans, basically with sex, which has been how marketing
shocking.
has been done for
remember Brooke Shields and Jordache and Gloria Vanderbilt and everything else. But yeah, whatever. So I'm about to go on a trip. I know. Another trip.
I don't even know where you're going.
I'm going to Florida.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to Florida.
Where are you going this week,
Where
Michelle?
are you going? Where in the world is Michelle San Diego? I am getting on an airplane, and I am going to St. Petersburg, Florida. We're going to land in Tampa. But it started making me think about some of the gross things I've seen people do on airplanes. And so I made a list. One of them is too much PDA. Like, if you're just sitting there chomping face with your partner,
you should be removed from the airplane.
If you are wanting to participate in the Mile High Club without participating in the Mile High Club, gross. Like, gross. Get off the airplane. How about taking your shoes off? That grosses me out.
It grosses me out, too. I saw a video on Instagram, and it was a can't call them stewardesses anymore. Flight attendants. I almost got canceled again. Dang it. And she was saying, don't go to the bathroom without shoes on. What you think on the floor is sink water is not sink water.
No, like that's the thing. Like, who walks in a public restroom without shoes on? Or then I've seen videos where people are putting their bare feet up on the armrest.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one thing to take your shoes off and you're just putting your feet on top of your shoes, especially if you're on a long flight.
I have done that, but I don't walk around. And I'm not. If you put them up, you're talking about putting them up on the armrest of the person in front
of you.
I have had that happen to me. And I turned around and said, please don't do that. Their foot came through the seat and was like sitting right next to me. Like, really? Now I'm thinking about it, like less than a foot from my face.
If I ever fly on an airplane with you, I'm going to sit right behind you and do that. or if I sit in front of you, how about people that put their hair over the seat?
Yeah, I've had that happen to me too.
God, Steve, what are you flying? Like a Spirit Airlines or something?
So.
Jeez. Being extremely drunk. I had that happen. I wasn't the one that was drunk, but on a flight back from Nashville one time, we went to the award show and came back and somebody was super, super drunk. How about, here's the other one. This grosses me out. I don't know why people do this. This is disgusting. They bring stinky food on the airplane.
I know, like
to
curry or broccoli or some weird
egg.
thing.
And then they fart. And then like it just floats down the aisle, and you're like, "Oh, I can taste it."
Did you see that video of the guy? It was a plane, and it was showed like a bunch of the people sitting in the plane. They were all holding their nose, and some guy speaks up and he goes, "Whoever is farting, please stop."
Yes, it's so gross.
Please stop.
And then the people that are rude to flight attendants, unacceptable. They use the airplane as a gym. I've seen this on international flights where they get up and they start doing yoga poses. Now, my husband, he's had back surgery. He's had 3 back surgeries. He has to get up and he has to walk. But never in my life have I seen Todd do lunges down there.
I mean, I will stand up and kind of twist and, stretch my arms a little bit because you're sitting in that chair, especially if it's a long flight. If it's 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, you got to move around.
Okay, so now you're shaving in your seat.
No.
Yes, I've seen that international flight. The other one I've seen, which is watching porn on an airplane.
Oh, no.
Yes, watching porn. Or the other thing is you're trashy if you're leaving your trash on the floor for your flight attendants to pick up. Pick up your trash. They're not your dumpster ladies.
Yeah.
The other one is don't wash your underwear in the sink. I'm sorry. That's
gross.
No,
that has not ever happened.
Promise. Some of these are from flight attendants that they've noticed, and they go, it's disgusting. No. So basically, you're flying a big old porta potty. Okay, that's what you're doing.
No. It used to be when I was a kid, way back in the black and white days. When you flew, it was a big occasion. You got dressed up. You were on your best behavior. Not now.
Back when the who were the ones that had the first flight, the Wilbur brothers.
Yeah, back when Abe Lincoln was president and we were flying around. It was a big
Michelangelo.
deal.
Back when Michelangelo.
But it was a big deal, and we took it very seriously, and people dressed up. Now you go on airplanes, people are literally in their pajamas, slippers.
Oh, it's gross. But let me ask you a question. Now that, Southwest has changed all of their rules and everything, and as far as January, are you, like I am, are you a judger on who sits in the emergency aisle seat? Because now with all of these instances that are happening, you're guaranteeing or you're relying on
that
not guaranteeing,
person,
you're relying on this person to open the door. So have you ever, next time go judge the people that are sitting.
I think that, I'm not sure what happened, but I think they're being a little more picky on who they allow to sit in those seats.
I saw them remove somebody one time because, they'll make you verbally look them in the eyeballs and say yes, that you heard them. Yeah. No, he was on his phone and she said something and he goes, huh? And she goes, what did I just say? Repeat back to me.
Yeah.
And he said something that was like, anybody could guess. And she goes, no, sorry, sir, you're going to have to move.
Yeah.
And he was not
rightfully
happy.
so.
Yeah.
I just read an article about Southwest this morning that said Southwest removing the way it's done business for 20-something years just made it just another airline. It's not special
It's not special anymore. And I think Southwest Airlines, this new CEO is going to be, I have my Southwest Airlines card, and this really makes me mad. And I'm a companion pass flyer. Yeah. And Todd's also A-list.
I've always loved Southwest, but we've flown it a couple times recently. It's just, I feel like it's just not the same.
This is why I've been flying a lot this year, because I fly for free.
Yeah, well,
my flight is $20.
Yeah.
So,
hey, when this episode comes out, guess what is going to be the new school year?
Oh, yes.
And guess what is back?
Traffic.
Well, traffic is back, but President Trump signed an executive order bringing back the presidential physical fitness test. Did you have that when you were in school?
I did. I remember that.
Yeah. On July 31st.
I hated it.
Did you really?
I hated it.
Oh, well,
sweating.
Then good. You'll listen to all this then. On July 31st, President Trump signed an executive order to reboot the program nationwide. The program was shelved in 2013 in favor of a wellness-driven approach. And I would call that everyone gets a trophy and fat is fit, which is all what came out of that.
That's true.
And that's my comment. But the new standards, I have a list of it here. So here's the new test, which came up with.
Okay, let me see if I can do it.
All right, a timed 1 mile run or fast walk.
What's the time? Because
it's going to be different for different age groups, obviously.
So 54 and up is going to be.
Yeah, 54 and up is an hour and a half.
Okay, thank you. Can I be on my phone?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you can't because you can't have your phone in the school anymore.
Yeah, sit-ups or curl-ups measured in 1 minute.
Okay.
Push-ups or pull-ups, depending on school policy, in a minute.
Like Pull-ups?
Well, not in a minute. As many as you can
Okay.
do. Push-ups or pull-ups. A 4x10 meter shuttle run. Do you know what that is?
No.
Like you see it sometimes. You start off, you run 10 meters, you touch a line, you run back, touch a line, run back. You have to do that 4 times.
It's like shopping at TJ Maxx. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. A sit and reach flexibility assessment, which
Okay.
is basically can you touch your toes or not? And that's it. That's
I
the
got
whole
that.
presidential
I
physical
got
fitness
this.
test. Yeah. And so,
Okay, so we're gonna run through this. So I want you to figure out what exactly it is, and we'll do a video of me doing the presidential fitness test. Okay.
Instagram does not allow you to do
Elder abuse?
videos that are 3 days long. So we can't do that. So the Presidential Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition was formed, and that council, the executive order, reestablished that council, based their rationale on recent data that shows a sharp rise in fat kids. I mean, childhood obesity. Sorry.
I already got. Didn't you say I was going to get canceled a couple of
we're
times
both
ago?
going to get canceled today. God, we've touched a lot of third
kids
rails
shouldn't
today.
be fat.
Yeah.
And you said what? And I said no. Kids should not be fat. And if they're fat, it's the parents' fault. If they're little kids and they're fat,
Yeah.
I'm a double down on that.
Remind me to tell you. I'll tell you a story
Off
about
the air?
Well, no, I'll tell you here in a second. But they based it on sharp rise in childhood obesity, declining physical activity, and the soaring number of chronic conditions in kids.
I'm all for it. I think it's my kids were all very active. They were all in football or cheer or soccer or something like that. I always had them in something.
I remember, I would say a lot of kids didn't like it, but it leads you to some healthy choices in life. You know how to exercise. You know some basic things you can do. The administration frames this as a national effort to rebuild American health and promote vitality and excellence as civic values. Now, who can argue with that? But of course, critics say the tests may pressure kids, heighten anxiety, and foster body shaming.
We need a crying corner back in the schools.
Yeah. Those people don't want kids to have any pressure and prefer them to be out of shape and unhealthy. That's the biggest thing for me is that the opposite of that. We have these kids walking around, they're 12 years old and they're almost diabetic.
No, they want them zombies. They want them stuck to their screens.
But that's my point is you would object to somebody being a little more physically fit, but the opposite side of that you're okay with.
They're more controlled that way. I mean, by somebody else.
Yeah, but I think kids can rise to the challenge, and I think it's going to be a good thing. We'll be interested to see how it plays out when the kids start coming back, but because they may push back on it a little bit.
Well, as long as they're not mandating this on grown adults, but you know what? I'm saying that there's a lot of restrictions that are coming forth. I know that like through the SNAP and WIC program, you're no longer allowed to get sodas, and they're I think 6 more states just restricted.
It's the typical pendulum, right? We went too far one way. We're letting kids decide what they should eat and drink. I'll tell you my story real quick. We were at Lakeway City Park, and there was a kid floating out on a paddleboard just like 6 feet from shore. He was probably 8 years old. And his mom said, "Come back in. I need you to put on your PFD, your personal flotation device." And he said, "No." And she said, "Well, you need to." And he said, "No, I'm going to paddle across to the other side of the lake without it."
That's when I swim out there and beat their little butt.
So I turned around and I looked at Mom. I looked her right in the, she was about 20 yards away, but I looked right at her and she didn't do a thing. What would you have done to your kids if they would have threatened you like that when they were 8 years old?
We want to see how far my shoe can, I can hit.
Yeah. I may not go in the water, but you're going to know that that's not going to work. Anyway.
You know what? The day is done. That's what I say. We're done.
Exactly. Okay, get the paddleboard, load it in the car. We're out of here.
That's it.
Yeah,
Bye.
Yeah, I know. And I feel bad for her, actually. She didn't do a thing.
Well, she's a product of her environment.
All right. You got one more story.
Yeah, I do. When you drink a lot of water, you drink an obscene amount of water.
I drink electrolytes.
But it's just you drink an obscene amount.
Well, I ran
yesterday.
this.
You had 4 cups sitting here.
Yeah, well,
I actually have a video that I could. There were 4 cups.
Well, I run in the summer. I ran Monday. I ran 6 miles, and it was got 90% humidity. I probably sweated a gallon.
Yeah, I know that I'm the first to admit I don't drink enough.
No, you don't.
I don't drink enough. I'll have a Chick-fil-A tea and I'll drink it all day. I will drink that tea all day. But did you know that when you have a plastic bottle or any kind of container and you have water in there, have you ever heard of the trapped water theory?
I have not.
So when you throw away an old plastic water bottle or drink, when you throw it away and you don't empty it, that's what a trapped water theory is. The idea is that millions of plastic bottles or other sealed containers are being buried without being emptied, and they're locking away an enormous amount of liquids. The liquid stays trapped, and it prevents it from entering the natural water cycle. And why should we care? Well, studies have shown that some landfills contain enough liquid to benefit local water sources. It's lost in a place where it will never be used again, and it also causes something called landfill, I think it's called leachate. I think it's what it's called. It's a toxic liquid that forms when waste breaks down and mixes with water. And, plastic takes, I think they said 450 years to break down.
Right.
So when you are, no matter what it is, when you're throwing away a bottled water, pour that water either in the sink. I always go pour them in my plants.
If you're going to throw away half a plastic bottle of water, go walk out in front of your yard, at least dump it on the grass. Yeah. Pour it down the sink. It just goes over to the sewer treatment plant off of one.
It never occurred to me, though, if you think about it. It never, ever occurred to me about all the water that is technically trapped in
I could see
our
that.
dumps.
Yeah. I mean, you have a party or something, you get 20 half drank.
Well, you have teenagers and they leave them all around.
Yeah. You're not going to, I guess you put them on the plants, but a lot of people just throw them in the trash. I never thought of that. I wonder how many thousands or millions of gallons of water that is over the years that have been just sitting there trapped and won't be accessible for 450 years.
Yeah, pour your water out, people. My story wasn't very interesting, but I still think it's
interesting.
One of the things I want to ask Kristen also, I asked you this yesterday. Have you heard of the 90 and 35 trend? I kind of touched on this yesterday. It's like the 90 and 35 trend is, I know better, but I kind of did it anyway. It's like, what would make you go 90 miles an hour in a 35? And some of them on TikTok are saying, what would be your song? What would be your song that you would go 90 miles an hour?
It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll by AC/DC.
Is that the whole title?
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. It's one of the best songs ever. I listen to it every time I go do a race. I listen to it right before the start.
Well, it's kind of a metaphor for living life fast, breaking rules, or admitting to over-the-top behavior. You know what mine is? I like Thunderstruck, too. I like AC/DC.
Do you? Well, you can't go wrong with that.
But I also like Pour Some Sugar on Me by
and Coffee. Coffee makes you go 90 and a 35 every time.
Anytime, for sure. Anytime. But we need to get Kristen Currie in here.
Let's take a little break and get Kristen Currie in here from KXAN. She's a meteorologist, and we'll be right back.
Vodka-flavored vodka? How boring.
At Deep Eddy Vodka, we say, why stop there?
Our vodka's made with real fruit, handcrafted right here in Texas.
We've got bold cocktails, refreshing mocktails, food trailers on the weekends, and plenty of local events.
So come sip something with a little more soul than just plain vodka.
Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Live here, sip here.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room.
South Star Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. South Star Bank is your financial partner. South Star Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthStarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1- and 2-bedroom homes, resort-style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. livejovibelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we are back right now with Kristen Currie-KXAN, meteorologist, a woman that can make or break a barbecue with a single forecast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have probably been asked a lot of questions at parties lately about weather, haven't you?
It has definitely been a topic of conversation,
Yeah.
I think, for better or for worse over
Yeah.
the last few months.
I'm sure it has. We always start the show off asking a little bit about where you grew up and, all those kind of things. So just tell us how you ended up in Drip.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Southern California. I got out when I went to college. I went to University of Colorado. Go Buffs. I was there for 4 years. And then once I graduated, I actually got my first TV job in Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, the thriving metropolis of Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
What'd you report on? Tumbleweeds?
Surprisingly, there was actually a lot of weather. It was a good starter market for me. I was brand new, didn't know what I was doing yet. I was the morning meteorologist there. So I was in Lubbock for a year and a half, and then went to Albuquerque, New Mexico for 4 years. And then I got to Austin 6 years ago, lived downtown in an apartment my very first year. And this was right before COVID. This is summer 2019. And so I was there in that apartment for a year. And I said, I know I'm going to be here for 4 years. We work on a contract. And so I got a realtor, and she showed me a few homes in South Austin. That's where I thought I wanted to be. And then she showed me one in Dripping Springs in Headwaters. And I was like, nah, that's too far. It is way too far because I got to go downtown every day for work. But I ended up falling in love with it.
Oh, good.
I liked the peace and quiet. I liked, just the hill country scenery. I loved it. So I've been in Dripping now for 5 years.
All right. And your drive, which takes place at 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the morning. You probably don't hit much traffic.
Not at all.
Pretty quick drive.
Yeah, straight shot
Do
down
you wave at
290.
me when I'm coming home from something downtown?
Yeah,
Hi.
right.
That's honestly the biggest concern, the wildlife and the intoxicated drivers, sadly.
Yeah.
What part of Southern California did you grow up in?
So my dad was actually law enforcement, so we kind of bopped around all over.
Okay.
Most of the time was like Simi Valley, Ventura area.
Okay.
So just outside
Kind
of Los Angeles.
Middle area. Wow. There's a lot of us from California. I came here from California too, long time ago. Yeah. And did you study meteorology in school?
Surprisingly, Colorado does not have a meteorology program. And so I didn't know going into college I wanted to do this. I wanted something sciencey. That was my goal, is just to pursue science. So I actually graduated with a bachelor's in environmental studies, which kind of covers a little bit of all of the sciences. And I got the minor in atmospheric and oceanic studies. And then I actually specialized in climate and energy.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you, how did that transition go from the science part over to being on television?
It was a little tough at first because I had zero journalism background. I mean, there is not a single lick of TV that I knew going into it, except for I took an internship. When I was in college, I took an internship my junior year and my senior year, and that was the only exposure I had to what journalism and broadcast TV was. And it was enough to kind of get my foot in the door in Lubbock. And I say even to someone who's thinking about going into the business, it's much, much easier to study the science in college and then learn the TV stuff once you get the job than the opposite, because you'll know right away if someone doesn't know the science. It is very hard to fake, but you can learn where to stand and how to talk to a camera. When you're analyzing maps and data and numbers and that kind of stuff, that's a lot harder to do on the job.
I can imagine. Did you have an interest in those kind of things when you were younger?
Not really. I mean, growing up in Southern California, there wasn't much weather.
There's not much weather.
Yeah, what kind of weather is
Yeah.
it?
It's 65 in the winter and 75 in the summer.
And I honestly think that's what piqued my interest when I went to Colorado. I was like, wow, like it can
snow.
storm,
Yeah.
it can snow, it can do all these things, and I had a great meteorology professor, and it kind of fit into place. And that's the thing. I never dreamed of becoming a broadcast meteorologist when I was a kid. I just kind of fell into it, and I'm so glad I did.
What did you think when you graduated from college that you might do?
I was thinking more like disaster relief or emergency preparedness, that kind of thing, since I did dabble into most of the sciences. But once I took my second internship, I knew. I was like, okay, I think I want to pursue this.
Yeah. Have you sort of avoided, because you did Lubbock, then you did Albuquerque, and then now you're in Austin, all warm, hot climates. Have you avoided the northern, like New York type climates with snowstorms and all that?
Yes, I say I'm a desert lizard. I am warm blooded. I like the warm. The humidity is still iffy for me, but I think because I grew up West Coast, this is familiar, and this kind of weather and these weather patterns are most familiar to me. That I was like, I'm just going to try and stay close, and at the time close to home, which was California. My immediate family is now in Nashville. So.
What is something about live TV you think that most people don't really get on the other side of the camera?
Well, I think people don't realize, or at least a good chunk of people don't realize, that it is live, that there is a maybe 5-second delay. Everything for the most part that I do as far as weather goes, with a small exception, is live with no redos. With weather specifically, it's all ad-libs. There's no script. There's nobody to help me. It's what comes out of my mouth and off the top of my head is what you hear on air.
Welcome to the ad-lib club.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly us. Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, because they see the teleprompters with the news anchors and such, and with weather, it's all our maps in our brain. There's nothing written down.
Where are you getting all the data to come up with your forecasts?
So online, basically, I mean, I live and die by the internet, and it's basically these different websites that put out data, and it's NOAA, it's Weather Service, Texas A&M has like it all together. That's my preference as far as finding data goes. But it's these big computers that do all sorts of billions of equations when it comes to math and the science behind the weather. And that data is publicly available, and that's what I use. So.
When you go to all those different websites, do they generally agree, or do you find sometimes that one says one thing and another website says something else?
It's really the different computer models that I'm looking at on the different websites, and most of the time they're at least within the same ballpark. But there are times where they're not, and it gets really tough in an area like Texas when our weather is constantly changing and evolving. You'll have one computer say it's going to be 97 and sunny, like yesterday, and we'll have another computer say actually it's going to be 90 and rainy. And so it's up to me to use what I learned in school, my preferences as far as which forecast models I like, because some have biases. They all have certain biases, but some have biases that I agree with or don't agree with. What we hit yesterday, just the knowledge of Central Texas, those kind of things that I look into to make my own forecast. I'm not ever copying from a certain website and putting it on TV.
So you're taking all that data, crunching it together, and coming up with what you think. Is it harder in Texas to forecast the weather than, say, like we were talking about, Minnesota or New York or someplace like that?
I think every area's kind of got their thing.
Their nuances.
Yeah, because even New Mexico, which was, I guess, a little milder as far as the extremes go. Like we weren't getting the tornadic storms or like the real bitter cold, but I covered a larger area. I covered the whole state of New Mexico, and here in Austin, I cover 15 counties. So it's kind of different challenges there. Usually, the markets are based on population. So up in Minnesota, Montana, a little more rural, so you're covering a bigger footprint, and it's got a lot of different micro scale features with weather and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what's easier or harder as far as weather goes.
What kind of graphic tool that you use like on a daily basis that has kind of failed you on air, where you're like either trying to flip through something or a program?
All of it. I mean, our weather system, it's basically set up kind of like a PowerPoint where I input my forecast once and it auto-populates to all my different slides. And there are times where I'm using a little remote and it just does in advance. My maps behind me are just solid. Or it's the cameras. The cameras can oftentimes backfire on us, swing different ways because they're all robots now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all coded. They're all robotic, and so they'll swing up, swing the wrong direction, and do all sorts of stuff. We have.
Oh, but we're going to let them run the world. So.
Exactly.
That sounds like a great idea.
The cameras will get after you more than the.
You're probably not
else.
one of those people that's up for a Waymo ride yet, are you?
No, not quite. I've seen technology do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
I had that question. The question I had was like, did you have to keep delivering the news while something chaotic was going on? And I could just picture this camera just like swinging in the background.
Yes, you do become very good at focusing on what you're trying to say. And even in Albuquerque, my green screen was in the middle of the newsroom. It was like an open concept. So everybody was talking and doing their own thing. And so I'm on the green screen just given my forecast, so you have to learn to really focus and tune everything out.
Yeah. So you're standing in front of a green screen, and are you looking at a TV off camera? Or how do you know what's being projected on the green screen?
So if I'm standing and there's a green screen behind me to my right and to my left, I have two TVs that show me what everybody at home can see. So that's what I'm looking at. And then when I look into the camera, I can see myself as well.
Okay.
And I guess you could never wear green.
I can't wear lime green. So we've tweaked it now to where the camera is okay with dark green. It looks black on air.
Okay.
But I can wear dark green, a hunter green. I can wear sometimes a yellow, but lime green, that like green screen kind of green, it's a no-go.
You just look like two legs, two
and
hands,
and
a head. Huh?
It'll go completely see-through.
Yeah. I know that probably people have been asking you a lot about Kerrville and what happened there. And, I think what we're hearing just in layman out here is that the forecasts were incredibly wrong. What's your professional take on what happened in Kerrville?
I think it was the perfect storm of everything that could go wrong did. I wouldn't necessarily say the forecast was wrong because the forecast changed. Absolutely. I mean, Wednesday morning, I was on air thinking 10% chance of rain July 5th, and then unfortunately I had a family vacation planned, months in advance. And so I had left Wednesday afternoon and didn't look at the data the following day. And looking back, because I can go backwards and look at the numbers and such. And because of that tropical storm that was down in Mexico and the remnants were just kind of hanging out and there was nothing to push it which way, that was the game changer. Okay. And our computer models, they're good, but they're not going to be able to ever pick up on tiny little microscale features like the leftovers of a weak storm. But sometimes that's all it takes is the leftovers of a tropical system. And there was nothing to move it. And so Thursday, the rain chances had started to come up. Thursday night, the flood watch went out, and I think that's where it's tough because you don't want to play Monday night quarterback, but at the same time, if there's a flood watch in place at 1 p.m. the afternoon and then a devastating flood that follows 12 hours later, I don't know what more from a messenger side could have been done, and I say worst case scenario as far as everything that could go wrong did is because it wasn't just a changing forecast. It was a Friday. It was a holiday. It was in the middle of the night, and so you had so much playing into people checking out and not paying attention to the forecast. Then it would have been, a Monday in the middle of the week when everyone's still got a lot going on.
Did the flood watch come out at 1 in the afternoon? Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought that up until like bedtime, everybody was like, oh, it's not going to rain. And then in the middle of the night, it changed. I did not know that.
It was the flood watch went out at 1 p.m. for Kerrville. And then the first flash flood warning went out at 1:45 a.m. And then the flash flood emergency of something is happening and hurting people was 4:30 a.m. And so we, unfortunately, looking backwards, anticipate the first fatalities to be around the 5 a.m. hour. Okay. So, at that point in the middle of the night, it's dark. And you're in an area with very little cell reception. Sure. It's tough.
What are your feelings on the the thought process about the cloud seeding that was happening a couple of days prior to that. I think it was the CEO of Rainmaker that was saying that they were doing that area 2 days before. Do you think it was, in a sense, a perfect storm where the cloud seeding happened and the tropical storm, the remnants of this tropical storm? What are your, because I've heard a conspiracy theory, put my little tinfoil hat on. People have said that there were puddles of blue water that they've seen in tarps. I don't know how accurate that is.
What have you heard,
what are your
Kristen?
feelings on this? Well, I can tell you as a scientist who's actually studied weather modification before, there's no way. There's no way that had any correlation. The effects of cloud seeding is so small. I mean, there's no way that you're talking about a cloud that had to have been there already. Cloud seeding can't create clouds. It just enhances clouds, and it has to be there already. It's about 10 to 15% more rainfall than you would normally get. So if you're taking one cloud and beefing it up 10 to 15%, 48 hours ahead of a disastrous flood that dropped, over a foot of rainfall, that cloud would have been long gone. And this was 150 miles away from where the flood actually occurred. So from a scientist's perspective, and this is something we're constantly battling, is once something gets on the internet and people start to run with it, it's like, wait. No. There's physics and there's science to prove that there's no way, and just getting that message out.
I think there are lessons to be learned from this. And what is your big takeaway from the Kerrville floods?
I think it's so hard because you never want to criticize or at least for me, I don't want to criticize anyone because I wasn't there. Yes. I don't know what happened, for sure. I think moving forward, weather communication has to get better. Weather radio's finding those little nuances. If you're at a campground on a Friday night in the middle of a holiday and it's dark out, how do you get those alerts?
Or alarms. Yeah.
The sirens, I think, have been in conversation. Making sure that no matter what, people understand you have to have not one but multiple ways to get weather alerts.
Sure.
That's the big thing that I grabbed from this is we're still not there yet.
Right. I don't want to criticize anybody either. There was it was like a cascade of events that made that so terrible. But I think we do need to scrutinize every aspect of what happened to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I was having a conversation a couple months ago with somebody and about Lake Travis, and this guy said, have you seen Lake Travis? That lake will never fill up again. And I said, how long have you lived in Texas?
Yeah,
because that lake could fill up in a week or less, in a couple days. So
more often than not, it does. More often than not, it takes a devastating flood. Not necessarily with this number of deaths and injuries, but it in our past, this is something I learned when I first got here. They told me Central Texas is one long drought broken up by floods. Yeah. That's what it is. And I believe that. And I think I agree with you in the fact, it's hard for me personally to criticize because I've never had that job as emergency manager or mayor.
Sure.
But there needs to be accountability. No doubt. If your job is to make sure the people of this town are safe and that didn't happen, questions need to be answered.
Yeah, and one of the lowest tech things we can do is put up those horns sirens that go off. I mean, I remember being a kid and hearing those. I don't know why they went away. I mean, those things can't cost more than $25,000, and it can let almost an entire county know that there's a problem.
And I will say the counter argument to that, as someone who works in the weather communication side of it, is when a siren goes off, it doesn't tell you what it's going off for. It doesn't tell you if it's a tornado. It doesn't tell you if it's a flood. It doesn't tell you if it's 75 mile per hour winds.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And so, if I don't understand how we can't make a siren with a speaker that says what it's going off for,
or maybe a simple, like 2 blasts means rain and 3 blasts means tornado. I don't know. I think there is a way to do it, or if the siren goes off, you go check the radio or your phone or your computer and see what's going on. But
the city of San Marcos is doing that. They have it's like a pulse for tornado and a long beep for something else. So it's in the works.
It just basically what that would be saying is go seek more information about what's happening. Don't stay asleep in your bed right now. That's dangerous.
Yep.
You mentioned long droughts with extreme storms. A lot of people are saying that what happened in Kerrville is because because of climate change or global warming or whatever the word of the day is. How do you feel about that? Is Texas weather changing and getting more extreme?
I think so, just when you look at the science of it. I mean, our atmosphere as a globe is getting warmer. I mean, we've got the observations, we've got the thermometer readings to show that. Warmer air holds more water. Physics also tells us that. I don't think it's appropriate to say climate change caused the Currie flooding. Could climate change enhance that kind of event? Absolutely. You know, it's basically like all of a sudden you have the hose, and with a warmer environment with climate change, you're turning the hose up a notch.
Okay.
It's not necessarily going to turn on and off the hose. It's just going to enhance whatever's happening. It's the same application to hurricanes. People think, well, climate change, causes more hurricanes. No. It's not that they're causing more hurricanes. It's just adding intensity. It's super fueling, adding gas to the fire to storms that already exist.
Okay.
Well, being from Dripping Springs now, you're living here, and I have seen more often than not, living here for 20 years, a storm you'll see come, and then all of a sudden it just breaks apart. It's almost
that's a
like
good question.
it just breaks apart right in front of my house. Yeah, and so what is it about this area that makes it do that? I've heard several different theories, one of them being all the limestone that we have. Do you have I guess an opinion on why our little particular area where you can literally just see it break apart and go around us?
I will say the Balcones Escarpment has something to do with it. Change in elevation can also, because if you go from higher to lower, that sinking air dries out. So that can reduce rainfall. And it doesn't seem like much, as far as elevation changes to go from hill country to Austin. It does, that can sometimes play a role. I will also tell you, I've heard that from every town here in Central Texas.
Really?
I didn't know
It always
that.
breaks apart in front of Bastrop. It always breaks apart in front of, Giddings. And I think it's because there's all these little things in our atmosphere, all these micro scale features that although I wish I could have the technology and experience to
Crystal
forecast.
ball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not watching the one cell over Bastrop, Dripping, Giddings.
Over Michelle's house? I have your cell phone number now. I'm going to.
And it is frustrating. There is no doubt. There is nothing frustrating that frustrates me more when what should happen doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
it's funny because I lived in Southern California for 30 years and never really paid attention to the weather because it doesn't change. You get here to Texas and you're like looking at your weather app. Oh, there's rain coming. Oh, I got 4 inches of rain yesterday on my rain gauge. We're all talking about the weather like all the time here now.
yes, absolutely. And those little things matter, that being so close to the Gulf, the changes in elevation, getting some of the storms that get kicked out of the Rockies and are trying to get themselves together. We're kind of in a sweet spot that just makes it hectic.
Yeah, a lot going on. More for you to do. How much has the weather reporting that the information that you gather, how much has that changed since you started this?
Let's see. Well, I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I will say there's more data out there, and the computer models that we use to help guide our forecast are getting better because we're getting more into these systems. Less of the model in the forecasting has changed more than the job. I mean, the job has been night and day. When I was first getting into TV, 2013, I mean, it was probably the focus 90% on air, 10% digital, social media and the website.
Oh.
Now, it's probably, 75%. Make sure the website's updated, make sure the app's updated, make sure social media is updated. Oh, yeah, and you've got 4.5 hours of TV on top of that.
Oh,
you know, it's getting farther away from TV focus and a little bit more digital just because our habits are changing too.
Yeah. Do you do any of that? I mean, I know that you're like on social media, if KXAN posts something on Facebook or Instagram, do you do that or does somebody do it for you and you just get on the camera and then you're done?
So on my Facebook, it's on me.
Okay.
So I can auto-populate. I have a way where if there's ever a tornado warning, flash flood warning, or severe thunderstorm warning for the Austin Metro, it will automatically, which does include Dripping Springs, it'll automatically hit my Facebook in case I'm on TV.
Okay.
But more often than not, everything on my Facebook is me. The app I have to manually update one by one every single morning.
Oh my gosh.
On the website, I have to write out the forecast every single morning. It's All me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a very hard-hitting question now. Okay, so
I'm asking you about the green screen.
Yes, I'm gonna ask.
This is Michelle's type of
I'm
question.
here for it.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got people out there who don't even own a rain gauge who send you fashion advice. Do you clap back or do you let them just sit there in their cargo pants and just tell them?
I try not to. We're discouraged against clapping back. I will say if someone goes after my character, I'll say something.
Yeah.
If they're going after the way I said something or my outfits, I usually don't respond. I'm like, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
What about getting recognized now? I mean, now you're kind of well known here in our little area. What about just going to HEB with no makeup, yoga pants?
I love it. I love it. I'm not one of those people who like shy away from it because when I'm in studio for, 4.5 hours on air, all I see is a camera. All I see is a TV. And so you don't feel anything back.
Oh, you don't get any feedback.
Yeah. When I go out in public, I feel purpose. Like I feel like, okay, somebody is up at 4:30 in the morning watching, And it feels good when somebody says it. So I am never the type to be cranky or to like say no to a picture. I'm always there for that.
When you walked in our
that.
office, Judy up front that manages our office, she said, I recognize you from TV. I watch you every morning.
Yeah, usually if I'm in the same outfit, people will.
Oh, that makes sense.
If I'm on HEB, you can kind of see it in their brain, like, is that my kid's teacher? Is that my dentist?
Oh, yeah, you're out of context.
They're trying to place me. But if I'm wearing what I wore that morning, usually it's a little bit faster.
When are you ever in the field? Like live in the field. So does that I guess gauge your wardrobe choices? So like if it's pouring down rain, one of the things I asked Steve, or I was talking about Steve yesterday, I was like, I bet your hair you've got long hair like I do, and if it's pouring down rain, you're like, okay, it's ponytail and a hat.
Yeah,
for me.
Absolutely. I probably should care more about it than I do. But like, being deployed to hurricanes, it's waterproof mascara just so you don't, you've got some sort of definition to your face, and it's a ball cap and my hair back. I'm not one to go out there and be particular about my look when you're typically in a dangerous situation that's impacting property and lives.
Speaking of that, have you ever been yourself in a dangerous situation where you're reporting live and you're in the field and you're like, wow, I probably shouldn't be here, I
don't know if there's been a situation where I felt uncomfortable, because usually in those situations, I'm never by myself. I'm with a photographer, and it's more of like, I know the forecast and what to look for, and he's got my back as far as anything else. And so like when we got deployed to Hurricane Delta in Lake Charles, I told him, I will keep you safe from the weather. You keep me safe from debris because I can't see behind me.
That's a good point.
You be my eyes and ears for any sort of blown power lines, that kind of thing.
And then Jim, what's his name? Cantoro? Is that how you say his last name?
Cantori.
Yeah, Cantori walks behind. You're like, we're done. Wrap up.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah. Kristen, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about what you do and just the weather in general?
Oh, I think there is a solid chunk of the population who just thinks like blonde on TV gets fed information. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, because there are some markets, specifically Los Angeles, who they're not quite the scientists, they're
the journalists
appearance.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And then they are just kind of say, okay, read the maps and just say this.
They're the Vanna White of the weather.
Yeah. And that works. That works for that market, because they're not more often than not dealing with tornadoes ripping through Round Rock, Texas,
Yeah, it's 85 in Van Nuys today. Yeah, it's
a different job, different responsibility. But I think a lot of people are surprised that, it's me in the middle of the night looking at numbers, analyzing maps, updating the forecast, working on the computer. It's a one-man band doing all of it. And then the easy part's getting up on front of the camera and talking about it.
How do people know that about you? How do you give your credentials that you're actually a scientist, meteorologist?
I hope that in my presentation, on air, that they not only see I'm just a normal human, but 2 can pick up on the fact like, okay,
She
this
knows
girl
what she's
knows her
talking about.
stuff.
Do
Yeah.
you consider yourself a weather nerd or a journalist?
Not a journalist. No, I say I'm a scientist. And,
Well, there you go.
I do a lot of work in the classrooms, and I tell the kids, I'm like, I'm a scientist who just happens to be on TV. That's it.
Oh, that's cool. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I have a very important technical question for you.
Uh-oh.
Please explain what 25% chance of rain
Oh, we
means.
were having this discussion the other day, weren't we?
Yeah, it drives me crazy. We got 12% chance of rain. Okay, I have no idea what that means. What does it mean, Kristen?
It is very confusing because it is meteorologist dependent. I will tell you at our shop at KXAN, it has to do with the coverage. It's not, there's a 25% chance you get stuck under a shower. There's 25% of the area that's going to get wet.
That's me. That's the answer I said. That's the answer I said.
And there are some meteorologists who say those are the odds that you see rain today, and not the coverage. But by definition, with the Weather Service, it's there's a whole long formula, but it has to do with not only the chance that you get wet, but more so the coverage. We expect 25% of the area
The viewing area.
of the viewing area, and
To receive rain that day.
to receive rain that day. I hate that, which is why on air you'll hear me stray away from percentages and use words like isolated, scattered, widespread, washout, because I think that gives people a better idea of, okay, if she's saying washout, that means that's a 90%, like in my world, 90% chance.
Yeah.
There's a good
I
opportunity.
think that's
to
true.
see
Yeah,
rain.
you're talking in layman's terms.
Exactly.
The 25% thing is like, woof, goes
Yeah.
right over my head.
What's your favorite layman's, non-scientific, nerdy radar that we could download? I mean, besides, of course, we have the KXAN app. We can look on there. But like, if I'm somewhere else, if I'm in, I'm going to be in Florida this weekend. What is an app that I can like AccuWeather? I think that's the one I have right now, AccuWeather or something like that, where I can layer it and I can see the winds and.
So the only ones I have are, there's 3 that I look at a lot. There's Radar Scope, which is, you do pay for it, but it is kind of like the one you'll find most meteorologists have on their phone. It's got all of the bells and whistles for us. But it is a little pricey, but it alerts you. The KXAN weather app I like because it is a very generic one, but it works everywhere.
Okay.
It works anywhere in the United States.
So I could pull up Florida and I can see what. Okay.
You set your location to Fort Myers, and it'll give you the alerts if an alert goes off there. We're very, very particular about that with our weather app because we know people don't stay put. It's a matter of making sure the alerts are turned on and it's set in the right spot. But I don't know. I don't know. Other than Radar Scope, which is the one that a lot of us use, and the KXAN weather app, I honestly don't have any of the others.
So when you're looking at a radar and you're seeing that cell kind of come to the little blue dot where you are, is that a lot of times, is that real time or is that like 10, 15 minutes behind what I'm looking at a particular radar?
Probably depends on the app, doesn't it?
It depends. Yeah, there's different modes that we could put on radar. Most of the time, it's probably a few minutes delayed, but it's actual data.
Okay.
It is observed data. Now, this is also a very annoying point of our weather app. If it says future on that button on the bottom right, you're looking at model data, and it's wrong. It's wrong. Model data is not observed data. Radar is truth. It's,
interesting.
Okay.
Oh,
Radar
that's good to
radar
know.
is never wrong.
Okay.
Models can be wrong. Radar will never, because radar is just a laser being put out what it's feeding back. Now, it can be interpreting bugs and bats and that kind of thing as rain sometimes, but it's only going to do that on like a very clear night. For
So
the most part.
if I'm hitting that play button where I'm watching the cell go through, and then so now it's, what time is it right now? 11:38, and I'm watching it, and then it says at 1:00 the cell's over here. That's my future, obviously.
That's your
It's not-
future.
okay.
Yeah. So you want to go backwards and watch the trend. You want to see where was that storm at 9 a.m. and what direction is it going until now? Because that's likely where it's going to continue.
Okay.
Kristen, I bet when you go to parties and you meet new people, they want to talk to you about the weather all the time, don't they?
They do, but that's okay. I know that is the role and the job I signed up for.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, I guess it's an interesting thing. Everybody is affected by weather one way or the other. So what you're providing is a really valuable service.
Can you walk us through your typical day? Before we started recording, Steve said, "Oh, you've been up since 1:30 in the morning." So walk us through your typical day, news day.
Typical news day in like the summertime during our slower season, I'm usually waking up around 2 a.m. I've gotten real efficient in the morning to getting out the door, shower, brush teeth, everything, but like 30 minutes later. So I'm on the road by 2:30. I'm usually getting into work between 3 and 3:30. And the first thing I do is forecast. That is my priority. So whatever time it takes me to get the forecast done, I'll forecast, do a few radio hits for some of the local stations.
Are you doing your makeup at the same time?
That's at the very, very end.
Oh,
whatever time I have left over that I didn't use to forecast or do radio is what time I have to get ready. And like I said, going back is I should make it a bigger priority, but it's one of those things that I want to make sure the forecast is done. Then if by 4:30 I'm not done,
if I got one eye done, I got one eye done.
I'm like, that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
So you're doing the forecast, then you go on air at what time?
4:30 in the morning.
4:30, and that lasts until what time?
9 a.m.
So are you eating breakfast in between there, or like breaks, or are you just grabbing stuff in between commercial breaks?
Yeah, it is. The morning show is very fast paced. We have commercial breaks where we can, do whatever we need to, use the restroom and such. I'm more the type that I don't usually snack or eat breakfast during the show, just because I'm got website and app and everything
so
to
much going
update.
on.
Yeah, that I'm a coffee gal, so I'll have 3 cups of coffee between about 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. And then once I'm done on air, we go to the newsroom and I'll update my coworkers and bosses as to here's what the weather is. If we need to put resources and such somewhere, we'll do that. But then usually I'm done around 9:30, 10. During the school year, I do 2 classroom visits a week. So that kind of takes up some time.
That's cool.
I love that. I love doing that. That has kind of become my little niche.
Why do you like doing that? What's the payoff for you?
I always joke that kids are nicer than viewers, but
That's
which is more often than not true. But I think that's where I truly find my fulfillment, my purpose is there's a natural curiosity with weather, with anybody, but especially kids. They want to learn. And I think when it comes to weather safety, you got to hit them young. Like you have to instill that this is what we do when we hear a tornado siren. This is what we do, when you see hail, because later on down the road, when they're maybe not as in tune, I hope that they remember. I remember one time that lady said to do this.
That TV lady told me when there's a tornado.
I saw something. It was like a little meme. It says, "When I was a kid, they taught us so much about stop, dropping, and rolling that as an adult, I'm surprised I haven't been an honest flyer."
Yeah. Kristen, you get into the office and you start doing your around 3:30, you're doing your forecast. Have you ever been there and you started doing your forecast and you went, "Oh crap"? Like you were so surprised with what was going to happen that day?
Oh, yeah.
Has it happened a lot?
Yeah. Even this week we had, this cluster of storms up in North Texas. And I was like, nah, that's not going to be able to hold together. Sure enough.
It did, huh?
Sure enough, yesterday that band held through, dropped our temperature. I was thinking we'd hit 97. We only hit 90 because that rain at 10 a.m. completely messed up my forecast.
Wow.
So those things happen. Rarely are we ever shocked. They're saying that came out of nowhere. Not necessarily that. It's more of okay, well, that didn't pan out the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
You're never going to be surprised by a hurricane. You're never going to be surprised by a snowstorm. It can overproduce. You're thinking, wow, I was thinking an inch and we got 4, but it's never out of left field.
That's probably why thunderstorms are so dangerous, right? Because they pop up and you don't know the intensity of those until they're actually happening.
And they can go up fast too. I think that the speed at which severe weather can happen catches a lot of people off guard. Whereas, with hurricanes, it's tough because it's not that we don't know where they're going to go. It's more so convincing people to get out of the way.
Well, you didn't grow up in Texas, but we grew up, our book covers had a hurricane tracking map on it. And so during hurricane seasons, we had buttercrust book covers. And on one side was buttercrust bread. On the other side, you could track your hurricane. And so you would watch the news and you would pinpoint, it's right here. And it's right here.
Neat.
It's the craziest thing.
One of my closest experiences with a hurricane was in South Florida. I went through high school in South Florida, but I worked on a golf course. And it might have been Andrew. No, it wasn't Andrew. It was before that. But anyway, we had a hurricane coming. And my boss said, okay, I need you to go out, take these chains, go out in the yard and the yard on the golf course and tie everything down. So I'm out there, I'm tying down 50-gallon drums. And my boss comes out and he goes, Mallet, what are you doing? And he goes, tie down the tractors. And I went, the tractors? We're worried about the tractors flying away? That was my first experience. Like, holy heck, these things are dangerous.
Powerful.
Yeah. Luckily, it didn't hit us, but I was shocked when he said that.
I lived through Hurricane Allen, and I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and when the eye passes, everything is like, super calm. And I was taking all the tape off the windows, and my mom was like, what are you doing? I was like, it's over. And I'm like, no, we're still hiding under the bed kind of thing.
I mentioned that when I do these classroom talks because kids would be like, I heard it's sunny in the middle of a storm. And I'm like, it is, but you just have to realize that only means you're halfway done.
Yeah.
You still have the entire other half of
What
the
a
storm
metaphor
to go.
for life,
Isn't
right?
the trailing edge typically stronger than the leading edge, or is that a misnomer?
Depending on where you're at, typically the northeast corner of a hurricane is the strongest.
Okay.
Yeah. So wherever that northeastern quadrant, because that's when you got not only the wind spinning within the storm, but the storm motion of it going forward.
Okay.
That combination of those
So
winds.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah. What's your favorite and least favorite part of being in the public eye?
I think favorite would definitely be there are moments that you don't realize at the time during the storm that will make a difference, but much, much later it comes to you in like the most random and out of nowhere ways. The Round Rock tornado is an example where I wasn't even supposed to be on air. We were in the thick of it, and I just so happened to catch this tornado on our weather camera. And I'm yelling at my chief like, "Weather camera, Whittlesey!" And to this day, I mean that was 2022. To this day, people will come up and be like, "I was watching when you caught that Round Rock tornado."
Oh my gosh!
And it just makes you feel like, okay, I did my job that day.
Yeah.
And same thing with the 2021 storm, because we were on air 9 days straight, and people would be like, "You're the only people
This is the ice storm.
The big winter storm of
The winter
2021.
storm,
23 was ice storm. Same thing. 23 was like sometimes like people had nothing else to do but watch the news and consume the information.
Yeah. Wow. What's your least favorite part then?
Least favorite is there are a lot of bullies out there.
What's
of
the deal with
bullies.
that?
I don't know. And it's half of it is it comes with the job, but it's just people have very there's just the audacity of some of the things they'll say, and you're like, who raised you?
Yeah, I know,
like,
exactly.
What?
Yeah.
What was the reaction you wanted out of this?
Yeah. Even when people have those terrible thoughts, which they probably shouldn't have, someone along the way should have said, you can keep those to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell anybody those
Exactly.
things. Yeah, but they do.
And they're just surprised. They're surprised that people would find that offensive. Like the scrutiny that I got from being away during the July floods.
It's so asinine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is.
Your,
It's like
your life
you
must revolve around me.
canceling your vacation though would have had a totally different outcome, and it's so not true.
Yeah.
And it's like it's shifting this blame on like look, I'm here to analyze what I see.
Right.
I am also allowed to be a person and go on vacation.
And they also, I think, don't realize it's like, do you think I don't feel guilty about it? Like that I
Right.
wasn't there? You saying like, well, you prioritize yourself ahead of your community. And it's like, obviously I feel some of that. Yeah. But it's like, thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
know.
Buy a t-shirt.
Yeah. We've just started, because the podcast is a couple years old, we're starting to get, most of the people love what we do, and I'm sure it's the same, and they're very appreciative. Every once in a while you get somebody.
Dustin from Austin.
Yeah. It irks you.
Yeah.
But you just got to have thick skin, right?
You do. You have
do
to
the
have
best-
thick skin.
best you can.
And more often than not, it's a them problem and not a you problem.
Yeah,
But
I think 100% of the time it's a them problem. It's
We've
really
made
not
Dustin
you.
from Austin more famous than
Well,
he ever
it's
would
true.
be on his
Yeah.
own.
Kristen,
sure.
do you ever watch other meteorologists to compare how you do it with what they do?
oh yeah. Maybe not necessarily in the market, but there's a few meteorologists that I pay attention to, like outside, where I'm like, I love the way they do that. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from them? How can I make that more me in Austin, Texas?
Okay.
So I definitely do that. Surprisingly, no, despite Anchorman and all those other movies that show like we're enemies, we do hang out together. I have a very good relationship with, almost all the meteorologists that I know here in Austin. It's never like cutthroat, I'm trying to beat you. It's more of like, we're all trying to do the impossible of predicting the future.
Yes.
So can we
Predicting the future.
commiserate together?
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Do you ever blame a wrong forecast on like an evil twin sister that you're like, oh, that I have a twin sister. You didn't know that? That was that person that did it.
Usually I do. Usually I blame the chief for what, David Yeomans was the chief meteorologist here for a while, and Jim Spencer, and now it's Nick Bannon. And, if the weather ever does something I don't think it was, I'm like, well, Nick told you. I bring sunshine and rainbows. He brings tornadoes and hail.
You have a great mentor, though, in Jim Spencer. He's an Austin staple, and what an amazing human being he is also.
He's so valuable to have, not only just as a teammate, but as a friend to kind of bounce back and forth with forecast ideas. And more often than not, I'm reaching out to him and be like, I've had a rough week with viewers. Like, can you help me? How did you deal with this, and this, and that kind of stuff?
Well, many a times I remember being with the kids when we first moved here to Austin and, having little kids and just watching Jim staying up all night, just being there all night. And that was like, we would just have it on that station and just watching him and like, okay, are we in the closet? Are we out of the closet? Because, this weather here in Central Texas, like you were talking about, is very unpredictable. And did it irk you, or is it irking you that these national news media have taken this flash flood misinformation and put their own spin on it? People don't understand what these flash floods actually are. It's actually in the name. It's a flash flood.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. This was my first big flash flood event. I got here in 2019, so I missed the Atlanta River flood of 2018. I missed the Blanca River flood of 2015. I went back and studied the footage and everything. My biggest downfall, I think, as a meteorologist is the people side. I struggle with the people side because I'm a crier. I firmly believe everybody has their role. There's the investigative team who holds those accountable. There's the Jim Spencers who can go up there all night long and hold that calm demeanor. I can do that, but then it starts to get to me that that people are in trouble
and lives are being
I can't
lost.
Help in lives, and that's where I start to fall apart. And that's honestly something that I've worked out with Jim. I'm like, I have a hard time isolating the fact that especially in the Currie County situation, these were kids under the responsibility of adults.
I know.
Yeah.
And
That's a shame.
That's the hard part for me is there's nothing I could have said on air that would have done anything when you don't have a way to communicate.
Have you been down there? Have you been able to visit? How did that leave your soul?
Well, I went down to volunteer. And so that was very helpful for me. I think, not being here for the event crushed me. It was the hardest thing I think I've done in my career. Harder than the 2021 storm, harder than anything. Going out there and to volunteer with the Red Cross helped. Going to report when the Atlanta River flood came up the following weekend helped. But seeing it in person, you understand the science and the power of water, but you just don't understand it. Like, you're like, how? I know. Like, you can't accept it, I guess is what it is.
Yeah, and even when you see it, your brain has a hard time processing it and saying, you're standing on a riverbank and there's a tree and 40 feet up in the tree is debris and you're like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Right.
That makes no sense.
And how fast it happened.
Yeah. How do you, I know a lot of people rely on you for these weather forecasts and they make decisions about their day. And so it's important and you obviously care. You want to do a great job. How do you de-stress at the end of the day and kind of leave all that behind?
Wine.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lie. I would say one of the hardest parts of the job is being away from family. But I call my mom almost every other day when I'm like, and it's a good 25 minutes home from Dripping Springs,
that's nice.
So I'll call her, de-stress, wine. I'm a reader, so I'll read on the weekends, just kind of unplug. And luckily I have a very good group of coworkers and, commiseration helps when you just unload. They get it. I get it. It's like, let me be ugly for 10 seconds and get this off my chest. During the flooding, I relied a lot on my chief, on Nick Bannon, saying like, this is what I'm feeling. And I know most people won't understand that survivor's guilt and being like, well, it's just a job. And it's like, it's more than that to me though,
Because people rely on you.
But that's why you're so good at your job. Somebody would be like, it wasn't my problem. I didn't. They wouldn't be as good at their job as you are.
I thank you for that. It's a blessing and a curse. You go home with a heavy heart and it's hard to separate. But I'm a person of faith and I feel, like I was put here for this reason. I'm a feeler. I can be the person to sit there and cry with you over and over and over again. I can't sit there and press a politician for answers. That's my strength. I am the person to get down on my knees and be like, let me just cry this out with you.
I saw a fellow weather person getting some grief on social media because during the middle of like a horrific, I think it was tornadoes or whatever, he paused. He had constantly been on and he paused and he's calling his wife or texting his wife just to make sure they're in a safe space. And people were giving him grief about that. And it's like, my gosh, come on.
Being a human being is a messy endeavor. And if you start trying to think how everybody else wants you to run your life, you'll be miserable all the time. You just got to do the best you can every day. It's all what we're doing, right? Just the best we can every day.
Eat the French fry. Eat the bacon.
No, I'm not. You'll have to listen to the episode to understand what that is.
Okay.
Do you want to do your rapid fires?
Okay, so earlier I asked Steve what and I don't know if you know what this trend is, the 90 and a 35 trend.
Yes.
What is your 90 and a 35? What is your song?
Okay, it's a little off the beaten path, but Garth Brooks, Standing Outside the Fire.
Oh, I know that song. That's a great video too.
Love that. I mean, I will not listen to that and not belt.
That's a great song.
And bang on the stereo. I mean, that is just for a
pull
long
it up
time.
And play a second. I don't think I know that one.
Okay, well,
I'm not a big Garth Brooks fan.
You're not a big anything fan.
No, I'm a big AC/DC fan.
You're a big AC/DC fan.
I'm a country gal. So.
Yeah, I'm a country girl too. What scares you more? Tornadoes, hailstorms, and probably a little too soon, flash floods.
I think of those three, tornadoes, because they happen so fast. I mean, they could truly come down in seconds. And if you're not in the right spot, you have a tough time surviving one of those.
Is it true, this is not on my rapid fire, is it true if you get stuck in a tornado to not go in an underpass? You're not supposed to go hide in the underpass? I don't know if you're too young to watch this, but there was a video early on. Do you remember this about
People
this family that got stuck? They kind of took shelter in the underpass right there, and they're saying that the winds are stronger there.
Yes, yeah. So, you don't want to be. I mean, more often than not, one of the misconceptions I think of tornadoes is people think of the strong winds, which yes are a threat. It's the debris. Debris is what kills people more than anything, and so you're not necessarily getting sheltered a whole lot when those winds are coming under the overpass and bringing lofting that debris.
Then what I used to hear was go into a ditch. Into a depression in the ground? Is that what do you recommend, Kristen?
Yeah, I know. And it's really tough because there's no good solution to that. If it were me and I, for whatever reason, cannot find any structure, and what your advice to do is stay in your car, put your seatbelt on, and put your head between your knees and then cover the back of your neck. Okay. You're supposed to stay in your vehicle because, again, if you're out in the ditch, you're exposing yourself to debris.
Sure.
And then the winds do get stronger underneath an overpass.
Interesting.
Luckily, they're pretty rare around here, but those people that live in Tornado Alley, I don't know how they do.
Do you remember that movie Twister where they're like, Cal,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember growing up in Southern California with earthquakes?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of the same thing. You
Yeah.
never know when they're going to happen. And
Exactly.
What is your favorite kind of weather personally?
Personally, I like tropical. Because I think we've got a very good understanding of tropical systems. The forecasting has come a long way. Typically, these storms move slow enough to where, again, you've got the messaging to get people out of the way. Whether or not they listen is on them. But just hurricanes are the most powerful storms on Earth, and so there's just a fascination, I think, with it that I love.
I don't know why people say, there's a hurricane coming and it's going to hit. You're like, no, we're just going to hunker down in the house. Like, no, your house is not going to be there.
I know. A lot of it is looking at the social science of storms past, studying in college is it comes down to money. And that's like the hardest thing is it's just, it can get expensive to evacuate and stay in a hotel and
you
be
have
away.
Animals. If you have animals, it's like, okay, now I can't go.
But you're right. It's like, well, you think your house is when it rattles at 60 mile per hour winds is going to be able to handle a category 2?
I went back to Southern Florida after Andrew went through, and I lived in this, it was called Naranja Lakes. It was like 400 kind of individual condo neighborhood, and I drove over there to see the condition of the condo that I lived in. The entire neighborhood was gone.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them was gone. It was, woo.
That was one of the worst hurricanes on record for the U.S.
That was Andrew, right?
Yeah, Andrew.
92, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what was my last question? Oh, if you could control the Austin weather for one day, would you give us a heat break or would you just mess with us for fun?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough one. I feel like I'd maybe mess a little bit.
Yeah, like, snowstorm in July.
Or is there something weird, like a dust storm? Something we like rarely get. Just to flex muscles a little bit.
Spending this little bit of time with you, I would say you're going to mess with us a little bit.
Not in a retaliatory
No.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you should have checked the weather in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you Dustin from Austin's address. And maybe you can
put a blizzard over his house. I ran this morning, and it was actually cool.
Yep.
August 5th, it was cool.
Yeah, what is going on with the weather this summer here in Texas? It's
bizarre.
Unusual, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it does have to do with when you put more rain in the ground, it's harder to warm up the air because that heat energy that comes down from the sun, not all of it's going into warming the air. Some of it's going into evaporating that water. So you're not getting those huge spikes in temperatures because of the water in the ground. And so when, we had 19 inches in parts of the hill country of rain in July and what is typically the big ramp to the heat, that just flattens it. And so we're slowly starting to tick back up, I think, into more of that normal time heat. And I think by comparison, 2022, 2023, top 5 hottest summers on record. We've been through it recently. So just by comparison and the trauma, I think it feels much cooler because we've been so
When the weather's
hot.
this nice, it just brings more people from out of the state. They think this is the way it is.
I know. I feel sorry for some of those people that moved here during COVID in March. And they were like, oh, yeah, this is pretty nice. Like, okay, it's not August yet.
Your poor dad. He came from North Carolina.
Yeah, where a hot day was 82.
Oh.
And
I will say, if somebody asked me, the summers are hot, but you expect Texas summers to be hot. Our winter storms the last few years, I think that's the extreme. That's what stands out to me. That 2023, the worst ice storm we've ever had on record.
I'm traumatized by it still.
The worst winter storm of 2021. It's those winter storms that you don't move to Texas thinking you're going to be locked in your house for 9 days.
It's so true.
Those winters, I think I would warn more people about than
it was during 2021, that snowstorm. It was a month before my oldest son's wedding. My brother decided he was working at some place outside, so he had to leave. He left. And he couldn't get any further. He stopped at a convenience store, came back, gave us all COVID. So not only are it was snow, we were all stuck
I forgot
with
about that.
COVID and trying to plan a wedding. It was awful.
That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
It was a trauma time. Thank you so much for spending your morning when you should be sleeping or
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
with
Kristen,
kids.
it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot from you about the weather, and I applaud you for not only doing a great job, but really enjoying what you do. It's a rare thing these days that somebody has the job that they really like a lot, and you can tell hell you do.
I do. I am lucky. I am a lucky girl because I do genuinely love what I do. I mean, every day's got bad days, but I have far more good days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time today. We really appreciate
Of course.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624. Your weekend doesn't really start till you're with Deep Eddy Vodka.
The tasting room in Dripping Springs, where the Hill Country gathers.
Sip real fruit vodka, handcrafted cocktails, or a mocktail if you're keeping it light.
Food trailers on the weekends, a family-friendly vibe, and you've got your new favorite hangout. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Sip local, sip real in Dripping Springs.
Follow Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room on Facebook and Instagram for what's pouring and what's happening.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.